Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, 510 pages, 56 chapters, and is an alien invasion of not Earth. Young adult fiction, and the first book, it is set on Doritos. It's a moon-like planet, but is encased in floating defense platforms. And so the surface of the planet is almost, similar to Earth's moon in that it's like dusty and crusty, so it's hard to live on. So most of the population of the humans live in caverns underneath the surface. There is a military base on the surface that fields fighters and that stuff, and the aliens, the Krell, who chased them to this planet a few generations ago, are still trying to take out that military base. So there's kind of like the question of the motivation, like what are the Krell trying to accomplish, that kind of thing. But currently, the humans field fighter pilots to meet the Krell and do battle and that kind of thing. So um, the main character's father was a fighter pilot and ran away from a battle and was shot down, and so was deemed a coward. And so this whole society is based around surviving and battling the Krell, supporting that military base on the surface to help keep them alive, right? So even though there are other jobs like making food and maintaining all the caverns and doing all that stuff, military defense production is like at the top of the list. And so pilots are like, if you get into flight school, you're like treated differently. You have this flight pin, and it's almost like celebrity status essentially. And so the main character always wanted to follow in her father's footsteps and fly. She finally gets a chance to prove herself to herself and everyone else that they're wrong about her father, in that she's treated as an outcast. Her family, they can't get good jobs, they can't feed themselves, they kind of live on the outskirts of society, in that they are part of the society but like outcasts. So she's really good at exploring caverns and scavenging for food, that kind of thing. And yeah, it makes for a really interesting, very self-sufficient, self-reliant character who is angry at the whole, at everyone, and is becoming a teenager. So it's like that just piles it all on. But the Corel kind of have these weird, they don't fly together. They all fly individually, and they just behave strangely. So there's a lot of questions about like, where did they come from? What are their objectives? All that stuff. But there's lots of themes here in this book. There's the politics and preferential treatment. Children of the first group of pilots, that when they first landed, they automatically get into flight school, whereas other students have to take a test and practice and exams and all that stuff. So there is politics and preferential treatment. There's teamwork and coordination through flight school. There's forgiveness. There's the haves and the have-nots. There's friendship, camaraderie against all odds. There's just a lot rolled into this book, and I think it's really well done. And yeah, it's just a nice, neat little package. And Brandon Sanderson did just a wonderful job with this book. One thing about the fighters, they do have these grappling hooks, so it's kind of like slightly futuristic in that they could grab onto an asteroid or any type of falling debris, which is common on this planet from the defense platforms, and perform turns that wouldn't otherwise be possible because, the G forces, but with the, grappling hook, it lets them swing around. So very cool. Things I liked, it wasn't a standard Disney movie. I thought it was. Everything was pointing towards it, right? The Disney formula is main character, is gonna save the day eventually, but at the beginning they have one or more parents who passed away, they're struggling, they need to find themselves, that whole pattern. And I thought for sure I had it pegged. That's exactly what this was gonna be, and I couldn't have been more wrong. So happy to see that. That was wonderful. I liked that Spensa found her own way. She really charted her own course, stuck true to what she believed in, even if it wasn't 100% accurate. Her dream and stuff, she still went for it. She reached for the stars, and I thought that was wonderful. She asked questions. She isn't afraid to ask questions. Like, this is stuff, hush hush under the rug nobody talks about, but she just goes right for it. Like, I'm gonna find this out. Yes, that was awesome. Um, Things I didn't like. I didn't like her catchphrases and sayings, like, I'm going to, thirst on the blood of my enemies, all that stuff. It was too cheesy for me. It did eventually grow on me and it was a lot of fun, but at the very beginning, it's just a little bit too much. So, but it's fun. It's all in good fun. And another thing that I didn't like was it felt just like Armada. Like the book by Ernest Cline was really along the same lines. There is humans trying to survive against, drones essentially, but I don't want to give too much away. And the last thing is the quotes. There were three really good ones that I liked here. The first one is very short and sweet, and this is her teacher, her professor. Um, uh, I'm not going to be easy on you. It wouldn't be fair. Is anything fair? He smiled. Death is. He treats us all the same. Oh, 700, don't be late. So, wow. Yeah, the only thing fair is that we all pass away. Like, death comes for us all. Heavy stuff, but, they were talking about fairness. So, yeah. Okay, here's another one at the end of training, and this is the grappling hooks thing that I wanted to talk about. This is Spensa. So, you're saying that by the end of our training, you expect us to be able to use grappling hooks made of energy to smash our enemies with flaming chunks of space debris? Yes, that, I whispered, is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. So, right, she gets into pilot school, she's into training, and the professor is just like, hey, we've got these grappling hook things, and she is just pumped, so super cool. And then this one is a conversation with her flight leader, flight commander. Um, yeah, really, it's very, very simple and something that I didn't learn until after I was married. Um, Jorgen walked around the car and sat on the front bumper. Whatever it is, I can help. I can fix it. Don't fix, Spensa said. Just listen. She repeats that like three or four more times in the conversation. And again, that's something that I learned way too late in life. Like, I should have learned that as a teenager, as a young adult. There are times when you just can't fix all problems. You just need to listen, to hear, to be there with somebody and experience and share their pain and problems. And that helps. It really does. And, my first thought is like, how do I fix this? How do I jump in and make things better? And you just kind of gotta override that instinct sometimes and just be present with the person. So lots of good stuff, lots of good quotes, lots of good adventure, struggles. The character grows. She grows as a person, she grows as a team member, and she also pushes her society as a whole forward. So great book, highly recommend it. And yes, Brandon Sanderson is an awesome author. So remember to buy your books used.